Welcome. My name is Ellie Bird, and today we're talking with a forum that has been together for over 14 years. Thank you all so much for sharing your forum experience on this podcast. I wonder if we could start with each of you introducing yourself, your business, and how long you've been in the forum. Nate, I think you've been in the longest, if that's right. Would you mind going first?
Yeah, my name's Nate Underwood. Joined EO Nebraska Forum 7 in 2009. I was started the forum. EO Nebraska at the time had six forums. My business partner was in one, and there was a lot of folks in real estate development in the other. So we kind of had to seed a forum. So we seeded the forum with four initial members back in 2009. My business is Heritage Communities, senior living care in the Midwest and Southwest United States.
Thanks, Nate. Ryan, were you the next to join the forum, or was it
Yeah,
Jeff?
we were both pretty close at the same time. I joined EO in 2010. My name is Ryan Jardine. My business is Quality Irrigation, lawn sprinkler contractor, new installation, service maintenance.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Neary, and my business is called Regal Awards. We are a manufacturer and distributor of all kinds of recognition products, promotional products, imprinted apparel. Um, I joined EO in, I believe it was 2011. So Ryan and I are very close to each other.
So 14 years for the two of you. That's great. So can you talk a little bit about why you joined a forum? What were you expecting when you joined?
Sure, I can start. I was recruited early before I was at $1 million mark and didn't meet the bar. And so the exclusivity of a group of entrepreneurs that wasn't advice giving, that I could rip off and duplicate stuff that was working, seemed very interesting to me. I went to college for 7 years to get my 4 year degree because I struggled and started my business during it and just didn't pay attention. So I was looking for knowledge and all the things that I didn't know.
Yeah, my unfair advantage is I had a business partner that had been in Forum for about had been in EO and had been in Forum for about 3 years. So I had kind of already heard firsthand the benefits. Had met from time to time with different Forum members of my business partner Farhan, who had unique things in perspective on our business. And so he would bring them in and say, "Hey, I talked to this guy on my forum, and they have this way of doing things, and we should talk to them and learn." So I had that unfair advantage, I guess, of having somebody that was already in forum. So I had the expectation that it was going to be great.
And like Nate, I also knew somebody who was in EO Nebraska and in Forum 7. And my business was at a point where it had kind of been stagnant, struggling, stuck a little bit for several years, kind of after the 2008, 2009 recession. And so kind of having the idea of having a place to go and share and learn and stuff like that was very interesting to me at that point. I was kind of stuck. I really assumed it was going to be mostly about business, and that's not the way it's turned out. I've certainly been a lot of business benefits, but I sort of maybe shied away from some of the personal development that was presented in the beginning, and have learned over the years that that's just as important, if not as important, as what I learned business wise.
So Ryan, you talked about not wanting other people to give you advice, that you wanted to learn from other people's experiences. Over the years, have you followed that forum protocol?
On following experience shares versus advice, advice definitely happens maybe before a meeting or after a meeting over a cocktail. Hey, what do the questions typically go, what do you really think? Or, tell me. It's entrepreneurs get crafty on how they ask for advice. They don't necessarily say, tell me what I should do, but the question gets brought up and the answers are different than when you're in for them. I personally find them extremely helpful in formates that know kind of all about what I have going on versus an accountant or an attorney or even a spouse's perspective that would seem very similar, but it's totally different. It's a unique perspective to have a formate tell you his or her advice and or experience.
I think in forum meeting, we're decently careful to follow protocol and not to give advice. But there are times, especially since, Jeff and Ryan and I have been in forum for 15 years, I know a lot of times that Ryan will look at something one way or Jeff might look at it some way, and I want their advice. So there are times, Ryan's the guy that really cuts through stuff. And so a lot of times it's really helpful to me to go to ask Ryan, okay, I'm I know I'm asking for it now, so it's okay. You're not just giving to me unsolicited. Cut through this a little bit. What do you see that I'm missing? And that just comes from 15 years of trust. But in forum meeting itself, and when we have new folks, I think we're pretty careful to make sure we're not just giving unsolicited advice.
I agree with Nate. I think experience share or gestalt is always in the room with us, and I think we're always careful. And for myself, I try to make sure that if I'm going to give somebody advice, I'm going to say I'm exiting experience sharing, and are you okay with that? It does happen, but I do think that we keep the forum mindset definitely very close at hand, even if sometimes we may tiptoe over the line a little.
So, Jeff mentioned the unexpected value of talking about personal issues in addition to business challenges. Are there any other surprises that you found in Forum?
There are times after 15 years that I want the WWJD bracelet, but it would say, "What would Jardine do in this situation?" And so there are times that I want that advice from somebody that I just know has a completely different personality and mindset than I do.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that on the outside look really successful, and then you start peeling back layers of the onion and go, oh, this person has no idea what they're doing. They can't produce financials, or they're hiding stuff from you, saying, oh, the third time you hear the story of, I left that on the printer. Come on, hold on a second. Something's really, and maybe what these guys are alluding to is I'm pretty good at seeing through some of that BS rapidly, and others other people give them the benefit of the doubt longer. I have zero patience for that kind of stuff. Quick to judge, unfortunately, but it's gotten me this far.
Along little bit along the same lines as Ryan, we've run into some people over the years, whether they were forum mates or even like facilitators that we hired or other people who what they shared was one way or another just huge mistakes and problems that they dealt with in their business and personal life. And that might be one of my biggest surprises is the benefit that came from hearing about a guy who lost a $10 million business. I mean, like literally because of some things that happened in this industry, it went away. He had the opportunity to sell it, didn't sell it, and within 3 years the industry changed and the business was gone. Another guy who had gotten sideways with some employees, and they, went after him with litigation, and just sharing at the bare bones level, that experience was. I mean, it scared me straight in a lot of ways in terms of that's just somewhere I just don't ever want to go, and so that's been a benefit.
Yeah.
I think my biggest surprise has been the amount of safety that I feel in the group. And that was, I thought it would be something where, initially that it was still a business group. But the level of personal that we've gotten to, and to the point where, I mean, there's family that I'm guarded around success and failures because I know I don't want them to come back to me at Thanksgiving. Yeah, well, you said this. It's like, well, yeah, but that was a long time ago. And we figured it out. Um, just it's an amazing feeling to have a group where you don't have to feel guarded,
Hmm.
and you feel really, really completely safe. And it's something that we really try to protect because it is so valuable. But I was surprised at how safe I feel.
That makes me curious. Are you all friends? Like, do you communicate outside the forum meeting often, or is it social in addition to the meetings, or what does that look like?
Definitely.
We do some, but not. I mean, I mean, I know of other forums that probably do a little bit more than that. I mean, we have friends, and I'd consider us to be friends. But so we do some communication, some golf, and that kind of thing outside the forum for
Travel.
sure.
Yep, we've been on some pretty
Travel a little
pretty
bit.
amazing
Yep.
trips together for sure, as a forum and with our spouses.
Ah, so everybody knows everybody's spouses.
Some better than others, but yeah, I believe
Oh yeah,
there
Yeah.
might be. Well,
We've got
we have
two
a
new
couple of new
folks,
guys
but
right now, so I
yeah.
couldn't say everybody right now, but just because they're new,
Ooh, interesting. So new people in the forum. When you've been together that long, what is that like adding somebody new?
we're very careful. about who we add. It's become kind of a rigorous, because we want to keep this tightness that we've had, and it's we talk about. I mean, we have a number of criteria, but can somebody go to that not just 5% but 1%? That's one of our pillars for sure. And then sort of the non-judgmentalness, because you get into a group of men, mostly men, and they're sharing all of their successes and failures, and we really have determined that no judgment is kind of the way we roll, and that's harder to get than you think.
I think the number one thing that determines whether someone will be successful in forum is whether they do forum. And what I mean by that is just following the rules of the forum. And I think respect is
Yep.
huge. We've struggled with people that have come in and acted like whatever they have going on is more important than what everybody else has going on. So from an ego standpoint and a vulnerability standpoint, but somebody that's willing to say, "Yep, we have no phones during our break, so I'm willing to shut off completely and fully engage and get into this group at a level like Jeff said of high vulnerability." We've protected that pretty well. Not as well at first. We were slower at first, and now we recognize, oh yeah, this interview, this candidate we're talking to, it's not going to work. You can just tell that they're not going to do forum the way it's meant to be done because of the level of vulnerability that they'll get to.
It's interesting how most people come in thinking they want to be 80% business, 20% personal, or even higher. And then typically people end up in this area where it's a third, a third, a third, 50-50 business personal. Pretty big shock for new people, I feel like.
So do you meet every month of the year,
Yes,
or do you take, okay. And you go on retreat, one retreat every year? Is that your sort of norm?
we do a retreat, and we've done many retreats in the past. Sometimes we'll do mini retreat, and what we started doing now too is doing a retreat, and then the mini retreat's a little more of let's see how many
Yep.
we can get. It's tough. We have a lot of people, a lot of different ages and stages of life. I mean, we range in age from late 30s to I think we have somebody in their late 30s to 63. So there's people, and we've had to start to allow Zoom maybe for one meeting out of the year because we got people in California and Arizona and places like that. But we've tried to be, as long as they're doing forum and engaged in the process, we've tried to be a little flexible on that. And we want to have, the folks that can go on like a mini retreat. That's not as much content. The retreat is, when we're doing a facilitation and content. Mini retreat is more, let's just go have some fun and get to know each other better.
So that's not mandatory then, the mini
Right. That's
retreat.
been new. We've changed that to being not mandatory because it was just impossible to line up schedules we found.
It does help with relationship building, though, when you get off site for a night or two and see somebody's hair come down a little bit and not be so, I don't know, tense isn't the right word, but just vulnerable, I guess.
I got the longest hair in the group, so they really like to see my hair come down. Of these three,
Okay, now you mentioned something a moment ago that I kind of want to spotlight because I think it's becoming more and more unique. I think I heard you say, Nate, that you don't use phones at all, even on breaks during your forum
that's
meetings?
correct. Yeah.
That correct? Very impressive. A. B. What about on retreats? What are your rules around phones when you're on retreat?
Yeah, just not during the working portion of retreat. So we try to make really clear what's mandatory, what's the working portion, and what's not. And then our general rule has been it's confidentiality, other than basically the agenda of like what we're doing, so that spouses want to know like what you're doing for the most part. So if we have an agenda of the work and what we're doing, that's shareable, and other than that, it's not. We found though that phones during breaks, the hard part about that is it draws your attention away, and when you come back, whatever you were dealing with is still on your mind. And so that was something we've done, and I think it's been really successful to not have phones on breaks.
It's definitely harder with the new people. I see people in restrooms or they step outside or they go to their office and it's like, I know what you're doing. Like, but it's awkward to call them out. Um,
But we do,
yeah, but we
for the
do.
most part. Yeah.
Okay. What about, have you used Forum 2.0? And if so, what have you used? How has that worked with your forum?
We've done the walk in my shoes. That was super helpful. I don't recall a recent example that's appropriate to share, but it's definitely a new flavor. We really enjoyed it.
And we've used cloaking. Ellie, I think you did a retreat with us 10 or 12 years ago where we did some cloaking. We haven't used it much over the years, but we found that to be a valuable tool as well.
Ellie, I'd say since our last retreat, we've been trying to do these again. And what happens is you get a retreat and you get these ideas and you use them for a while and it's easy to slip and forget. But like I would say, the walk in my shoes exercise was really effective for the last presentation that we had somebody give. They were talking about a potential expansion or change in their business, and the walk in my shoes like was a perfect fit for that. I feel like so it's important. I think we're trying to encourage us to remember all these different formats and use them because there's sometimes they work really well.
I think that, we did the Q2 parking lot builder in on our retreat when we were with you in Arizona, and that really one of the things that we came to you with before that retreat was, the presentations feel a little stale, the parking lot feels a little, not very full, and that park. A couple of things that we did on that retreat, but that Q2 parking lot builder, man, that was real. It was just a slight variation on, bringing up themes. Full gave us a full parking lot for the next year. That was probably worth the whole retreat right there, just the information that came out of that. And so we've put that into a spreadsheet that's getting shared, brought to the group every month, and everybody's kind of reminded what those issues are.
Many forums don't make it past the 5 year mark. And during COVID, that got even worse. What do you think has enabled your forum to stay together this long?
There's some good forum practices, and part of that has to do with some of the founding folks in Nebraska and some of the people that helped seed our forum. DJ Rezak helped seed our forum, and so when you have good people seeding forums with good practices, I think that lends itself to better and longer lasting forums.
Yeah.
I don't know about stay together this long, but people think this is a tips group. People think this is like they can't really separate experience shares with networking or a social group. Like, I think there's a disconnect with what this actually is. It's to help yourself be a better entrepreneur, mind, body, soul, family, entrepreneur, husband, dad, all of that. It's packaged in a way that vulnerability is key, being authentic is key. When somebody comes in and they're not authentic, it's like, hold on a second. And they don't see it right away, but some of us can see it, and it takes a few meetings or a year and they exit because it's not for them. And they use words like, I don't have the time, or, whatever BS they're trying to get you to believe. So Jeff and Nate and I are authentic. We show up and we do for them well, to use Nate's words. We're not afraid to call each other out on stuff, but it comes from a place of love.
Yeah, I think some guys maybe think, I don't know this for sure, but I think the perception is that it's guys to hang around with, or be buddies with and do stuff with. There's some work and a lot of uncomfortableness. I mean, it's a little, I can relate it to like taking medicine or whatever. The fact that you go spend a half a day a month with people, and then a few days a year on this retreat. So number one, it's a time commitment, and number two, in order to there is some stuff. The reason I stay is because it's been personally and professionally very rewarding. The I'm a different person than I was 14 years ago, and my business is totally different. And there was no way, I could boil EO down to two things. Number one, it's what got you from where you started to where you are now is not what's going to get you from here to where you want to go. So you got to, it's all about changing everything, and it's really about doing less and doing stuff differently. I would have never come up with that on my own. No way. So, why do I stay? Because it works. And I could say that personally and professionally. And there's been 2 or 3 times, candidly, in my 14 years where I'm like, Am I done with this? Have I got all I'm going to get out of this? Is it time to try something different? And every time I've come back, I mean, the results speak for themselves. I mean, the increase in my business would pay, that I've experienced in the last 14 years, would pay for 100 years of EO dues, maybe more. I mean, it's not even close. The value that's gotten out. On top of that is the personal development. On top of that is the relationships with the three men that I've been in this with a long time, and the guys that we continue to add. So there's just no question in my mind that it's a value. But it's not like it's fun all the time. And I think some guys think that that's what it's going to be. It's just sitting around patting each other on the back or whatever. But there's some struggle to it, and some uncomfortableness, and long periods of boredom. That's what owning a business is. Long periods of boredom and success, punctuated by short periods of terror and you know total frustration and despair. And the progress in EO is a little bit the same thing. Sometimes you're sitting through stuff, and you think you're kind of cruising along and you feel kind of stale, and then all of a sudden you're at another mountain and you got to scale it, and it's really tough. And then you get there and you realize, man, I wouldn't have got that done any other way. So
There are definitely times. I mean, there are times, absolutely, Jeff, where it's gotten stale, and I think the thing that Ryan and Jeff and I we've protected the value of it together a little bit. I mean, I think we've had the courage to say, man, it's like it doesn't feel like people are getting prepared. It doesn't feel like people are, or feel like we've maybe lost our way on advice stuff, or I'm not getting a lot of value personally, and I don't know if I'm even adding value. And so we've protected the value of it, which I think is probably a big key to success.
but it's interesting. I would say, a year ago, we as a collectively may have been feeling a little stale. We called Ellie. We had a retreat. Again, you can use this however you want, but that parking lot builder reminded us all that we're not stale. We're just, there's still plenty of issues there. We just needed some help to sort of, dig them up and put them in front of us again. So
Over the years, what are some of the biggest challenges you've had to face as a forum?
When we decide that somebody's not a fit, the process of exiting them, we've had no great success. We've had really bad to really, really, really bad.
I do think staleness is the biggest, and lack of value is the biggest challenge, and it comes from either the presentations aren't well selected, they aren't well coached, um, the updates are a little bit of a half effort. It's easy to fall into that trap a little bit.
Okay, let's go to the flip side of that. What's the greatest thing? Or maybe a fun story? What have been those awesome moments that you've shared?
I'll go if nobody. I mean, there's first of all, what I said in the beginning in 2011, my business was stuck. I mean, it hadn't moved in 3 or 4 years, and I really felt like I had tried everything that I had tried to get it moving the way I wanted to go. Moving and growing again and whatever. And it didn't happen overnight, and it didn't have. I didn't get 3 ideas from the first 3 forum meetings, and all of a sudden it was a miraculous change. It took 3-4 years before. But again, it's like a lot of things. I can't really explain how it works or why it works. Showing up at this meeting, being sort of immersed in other people's stuff, allowed me. And the answer is really do less, do it differently than when you've been. I was really trying to apply the same tools, just harder and faster and whatever than I had been applying, and that was not the way to go. So from a business standpoint, it was a miracle, really, in a lot of ways, that I can't explain how or why it happened, but it did, and it's been really good. I think again, for forum, the forum has turned out sort of surprisingly to me, as Nate talked about, safe space, not just to share like the bad stuff that's going on or the challenges, but safe place to have fun. Go on trips to places that I never would have picked for myself. Place maybe my spouse or my family weren't interested in going in, so I probably never would have gotten there. But these guys Nate and Ryan have really participated in that. We've participated a little bit, but just the whole, there's in addition to the guys in our forum, there's there's a group in EO, Nebraska, of 20 or 30 guys and their spouses that we've gotten to meet. Just no other way you're going to get that experience. And so it's been, as I said in the beginning, I was not expecting nor really interested in personal development when I got here. I had a business problem, and how fast can we fix this, and I'll get out of here. And that's not what I found, and it's good,
I think there's cool stuff we've done together. I mean, we got in a heater on a craps table once. When you do that as an entire forum, that's pretty fun because at a craps table you all win or you all lose together, and we all won together. That was a blast. A retreat, they got me to hunt my first animal at 50 years old. I shot a black buck, and that was kind of moving me out of my comfort zone. Something I never would have done on my own. And I thought it was kind of fun. I'm kind of wondering when we're going to go back. So those were fun things. But like Jeff said, I do think there have been individual moments in forum, and for me, safety is a big thing where I've just been really unsettled and emerged with a better plan or with confidence. And I mean, nothing I want to share and get into specifically, but that's where the forum makes a difference. But obviously, those fun memories of the craps table heater, and we posed for a picture afterwards and everything. We were a good looking group.
I kind of have two. I mean, Nate's encouragement, along with other mates, for me to expand into international travel. I was very much a horse that had blinders on that didn't want to leave our very safe country. And I've since been all over the place. Um, Always with people, but super thankful for that. Second, when I got in, my business was doing $1 million. I exited a year ago to private equity, and I had grown it to $10 million. And I literally jumped out of the airplane not knowing if I'm going to have a parachute or if it's going to expand into a true golden parachute. But these guys and gals, through the forum experience, gave me the confidence to make that jump, because for years I would come going, I'm bored. I'm bored. I've worked myself out of a job. I don't know what to do. And now I'm free falling, waiting to see how this thing ends. But there's no way I'd have done that. I'd have just kept doing the same thing over and over.
Last question. If you could give one piece of advice to new forums starting out, or even to young forums to help them be successful, what would you say?
Make sure you follow the seed moderator's examples and don't take what he or she is saying lightly. Like, believe in the process. It's kind of like a guided journey, if you will. If it's going to seem very dark and uncomfortable, but if you follow the process, it'll lead you to a brighter, happier place.
Yeah, I would tell a new forum starting out to start tighter in those processes and get loose over time. That's that's my background in education, and then also with a new employee. You start tighter, and you can loosen up over time. If you start loose, you're not going to go the other way. So I think it's really important to follow the best practices and trust the people that have done this process beforehand. I really think that helped a lot with our forum success.
it's sort of the same as the other guys a little bit. I think that, like, you're going to hear a lot of things if you're following the process that sound like really dumb ideas. Like work less, or kind of that whole, like, in order to grow your business, work less. And just have an open mind that, because some of the things that have turned out to be really sort of life changing or changing to my business at first were ideas like, I should do what, and so don't discount the stuff that sounds, maybe dropped your uh, judger a little bit, and try it before you condemn it, sort of thing.
Depending on where the new person's at in their journey, it seems a reoccurring theme that people are uncomfortable being away from their phone for 4 or 5 hours. And it's really a massive learning opportunity if you never have to figure out personal development, teammate development, and system development to allow that to happen, to where you're not the bottleneck for every single problem.
And I think trust is a big deal because, and again, I honestly don't know what EO's best practices is on this, but our group has found we really have high standards to, we got to have people we trust. We got to have people, we really want people who are willing to go deep, and are and are serious about, either you got a problem to solve, or or some way you're motivated to improve. And because we have found when you've got somebody that's not that way, it's sort of a drag on the rest of the group. It is definitely a carry your own bags organization, but if somebody in your group isn't trustworthy or isn't going deep, we found it's a, so, make sure that's a,
Our original philosophy was be real and grow, which spoke to the vulnerability piece of we expect you, your stuff's not on the printer, it's actually in front of us, and we expect you to be real and authentic with us. And the grow is not, it was not necessarily grow your own business, but it's a growth mindset. So like Jeff was talking earlier, it's not dismissing out of hand a different perspective. I think of the saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. The people that have come into our forum with the idea that I pretty much got it all figured out, they haven't been very successful with us because we expected that personal growth to be part of
yeah,
it.
my experience has totally been, I really don't care if a guy's business is doing $1 million a year or 200 million. If he's being authentic and has a real desire to grow and face the issues, whether they business and personal or personal, there's lots of value that I can get out of both of those guys.
Thank you all for sharing your forum journey, your experiences, and your wisdom with us today. For those of you watching, if your forum has been together longer than 10 years and you'd be willing to share your experiences to help other forums, please reach out to us at Forum Sherpa. Thank you.